Plattsburgh this show? Plattsburgh carried it?
Sometimes. We're also available on Channel 29 in Plattsburgh. It shows there if they think it's something that Plattsburgh would be interested in. Bob, Venn, what's going on here? We're riding on in the engine with the engineer Earl Lawrence from Schenectady, New York, and with Rich Stack, who's right on behind me, and he's the area manager for D&H CP now, I guess, is it, Rich?
Yeah, D&H Corporation CP Rail.
Right, and that took place yesterday, I understand. There was a signing?
Yes, they were down in Washington. I haven't had it confirmed, but they're meeting for the purpose of signing the papers to change the Delaware and Hudson over to the new D&H Corporation.
So it looks like today we're on the first full day of the CP D&H, I guess, right here. And we're just leaving Rouses Point now. We just left the station. The time, it's 12:15, and we're on the Amtrak with how many cars, Earl?
6 cars.
6 cars and about 38 people. I was talking to the conductor, Brzezinski, I think his name. And this is Chapman Street, right here we're crossing. And right here, the siding on our left is where we load the cars when we loaded the clothing going to South Dakota.
Yeah, the team track.
147, we're with you. Yeah, we're backing off on 282 right now. Okay, you have anything?
Now, is that from the last car?
Guys have room there, Jimmy?
What's that?
What you're hearing?
You're hearing from the...
That's the yard?
The yard here at Rouses Point.
Okay.
Talking to the crew.
This is the roundhouse over here to our right, and the turnaround, and that area is the 54 acres that the D&H is getting ready to sell. And as you remember from our previous discussions in the papers,
Eddie, what's your home under a minute?
you're talking first choice goes to the county, and then it goes to the town, and then the village, and if another railroad wants it, they get first choice. And this is a completely different view for yours truly, Bob Venn, with Calvin Castine on the camera. And we are so pleased that we are finally here, Rich.
Yes, I know it's taken a long time, but we finally been able to coordinate this. It's quite a repair facility there for Rouses Point. They do a lot of heavy repairs and jacking of cars over to your right as we just went by.
The buildings you see here, that big green one you just saw on your right, was I guess that's at Pillsbury.
Pillsbury's up here.
Pillsbury, oh, I'm sorry.
Pillsbury is up here on the right side, Bob.
What was that one that we just went by? That's the other one that's out here.
The chemical plant.
The chemical. And this is Pillsbury out here?
Pillsbury, and they unload flour up here, quite a substantial amount. These cars that you see located here are, I believe, they're empty cement cars that are destined for Lafarge, which is seasonal loading on the other side of the border, about 35 miles north of here, and the cement is destined for Fitchburg, Massachusetts.
Okay, now we were planning on riding the OR2, which is the local train, but we would have to wait until the the Amtrak rather goes to Plattsburgh, and then when it gets there, another train has to come north, and they got to work a couple hours around the yard to get the trains ready. And we were afraid it's going to be dark by that time. It may be 3 to 4 o'clock. In addition, Calvin has a ball game in Osable Forks starting at 5 o'clock. We're looking in behind I forget the name of the Carrier Apartments right here. We're getting ready to cross over 9B. This is the first Route 11. I beg your pardon. And we're now this is the famous underpass right here, and we're over the top of it. Ash lines over here, and we have double tracks here. How long does double tracks run?
Right up to this signal interlocking, as you can see coming up. It will convert over to single track. You have a high clear signal, which when we approach the main line here.
Okay. Earl, you mentioned that you've got relatives and have had relatives here in Rouses Point.
Oh, yeah. Grandfather worked for the railroad for many years as a car inspector.
And what was his name?
Sam Merchant. My uncles also worked for the D&H, Earl Merchant. And another uncle, Carl, passed away about 9 years ago.
So Steve and you are cousins?
Steve and I are
In other words,
cousins.
your mother and his father, right?
Right.
And did you ever live in Rouses Point?
Oh, yeah, when I was younger.
You look like the Merchants. All right, now, this is because of this, you're blowing for this is the Hayford Road, right, crossing right here. George Racine lives over to our left, And you blew the whistle because of that crossing.
That's right.
Now I understand there's a whistle sign along here. Whenever you see that, you blow your whistle?
That's right.
What do we look for if we see one of
White
those?
diamond sign with a black yellow W in it.
Okay, we'll watch for that. It'll be on our right, I assume.
Right.
How long have you worked for the railroad?
I worked for the D&H for 26 years, and in the last 2.5 years, I worked for Amtrak.
Uh-huh. So what?
So I
You're Montreal to Albany, mostly?
New York City, Niagara Falls, Cleveland, Ohio, all over the east.
The easiest part of this, I think, is steering it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Everybody asks me where the steering wheel is.
So what
You
do
can see
you...
the whistle
Here we go,
post
the
coming
whistle
up.
sign, okay. The whistle sign is right over here?
Right there.
Right there, you see it on the post. Okay. There's John Roberts' house that was for sale right over there on the right. Okay, and how long have you been with the railroad, Rich?
14 years, and I've been in many locations, Newark, New Jersey, Allentown, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New York. My home is Albany. I'm originally from Albany, and I've returned. My present headquarters is Saratoga, New York.
And your title is area manager?
Yeah, area manager is the title that CP has incorporated on the new D&H to coincide with their positions in Canada. And my territory encompasses from Rouses Point to Oneonta, New York, including the Colony and Albany secondaries to Kenwood.
Now, Oneonta is a big railroad crossing, isn't it? Big spot?
There used to be a very major yard in the Delaware and Hudson Railroad system. There was a major car repair facility and diesel facility. There was a classification yard.
Okay, excuse me just a minute, Rich. We're coming on to the overpass at the Cooperville 9B crossing, Cooperville Church and so forth off to our right. And the road out toward Mason's Corners is to our right, and this is 9B right ahead of us, that brand new overpass that was done in the past 2 or 3 years. And you look up ahead here just about a quarter of a mile, and you'll see where the temporary crossing was for the cars while they were working on it. I think it's right here. And this is that picture that Peg showed you where they had the train wreck. This is the crossing right here, and this is the crossing that our Mr. Biddard and Mr. I'm not thinking very quickly here. Heinert were killed right at that crossing. And up behind us here, now we're coming into my home area. Dr. Starr lives over here on the right, way out on the right. That silo, let me think where we are here. That white silo right up there was where I was brought up, right straight ahead out here. And then the grayish, bluish house is Jerry Nevada's. That was our home from 1944 to 1972. And that is the Stetson Road we're running parallel with. Off to our left is the Chazy Landing Road and the lake.
Oh my goodness.
And getting back to you, what does area manager mean? What?
I'm responsible for the operations of all trains and personnel in the territories, all the yard. I'm responsible for the coordination of the local yard and through freight operations on the north end of the railroad, which involves and includes Amtrak's operation over my territory.
Okay, do you know how much of a curve you can actually have in degree-wise?
Generally the curves are in a 9 to 10 degree angle going into a curve.
Okay.
The curves are elevated and they're laid out so that they coincide with the forces that run over them, and they're maintained in that order, with the low side sometimes being sub-elevated to the high side for the amount of tonnage that runs over the tracks.
We're coming on to the crossing on the Stetson Road, where in the late 40s there was a very bad accident here also. The Bayshires coming through here didn't stop for the train, and there was 1 or 2 of the Bayshire boys killed right here at this crossing. There were no signals at that time, and they lived just down here on the left. That's the Loran farm right here. We're nearby, and we're in close to what we call, I guess this is Suckertown area.
There's another whistle stop, Bob. And
There's right there, you can see it. Yep, I see it.
as part of my responsibilities as area manager, I'm also part of the New York State Operation Lifesaver Committee. And as you can see riding on this train, the engineer has these whistle posts to remind him of where the crossings are. But as he approaches them, you can know that with the visibility and the speed that we're traveling, that it's important for people, when they do see the lights flashing and a horn sounding, they must stop, so it gives the engineer a chance to go through the crossing safely.
Do many people drive through those flashing signs?
Yes, they do.
Earl?
Every day.
Every day. They figure they can beat it. Yeah, they got a lot of time, right? What does this yellow sign mean with a...
That's for the snowplow to pick up here so he doesn't tear up the crossing right there. That's for
There's all kinds of
right.
signals along here, aren't there, huh? Yeah. So there are a lot of people that do try to beat this train to spots?
every day.
Every
It's
day.
unbelievable.
You're very comfortable in here, Earl. The temperature is, my God, 70 in here, huh? They pay you for this, to take these rides, huh? They do pay you?
Yeah, they do, believe it or not. Yeah.
How many hours do you work a day, generally?
Oh, maybe 10 hours
10 hours a day?
average.
Now you
Somewhere
keep
around
moving that thing on your right hand. Now what are you doing? You're changing the
It's two
speed?
throttles. You got two different motors here. You got this one, and then the rear unit is a turbo itself.
Yeah. So we're just...
So we have two different tacks here.
Okay, excuse me just a minute, bro. This is the Shazy station right here. We just missed, I guess. There's Main Street, Shazy. We're crossing over the underpass at Shazy, New York. And the building over here to our left, the gray buildings, that's the old Neverett Farm sales right here. That's where we're located. We're just went through the little hamlet of Shazy, and we're heading out in a westerly direction, I guess, right now.
Going up on the Northway.
Up near the north, we'll be hitting the Northway. You can see it right up here. And this is it would be just south of the exit in Shazy, exit 41, I think it is. Excuse me, Earl, what you were saying, the throttles work how?
Independently, you can use them together or separately and maintain our speed here. You see we're going up and down.
Right. That's your speed there, 62 miles an hour?
Well, the track speed is 60 in here.
Okay.
We'll be slowing right down here. You'll see coming up here to Plattsburgh Road.
Uh-huh.
Or Monkey Street, as you probably know.
Yes, we've heard of Monkey. That's now known as Washington Avenue. You got to be very careful,
it's called
boy.
Washington
You got to get up at the times here. And I knew that as Monkey Street too. We forgive us people in Jay-Z.
There's one of your interlocking signals in between the plants that I showed you on our diagram.
Okay, right here.
Right here.
That's
showing the indication in the block.
Okay, this means that for the next 10 or 15 miles, there's nobody in
That's correct.
this block, and that's how you know you're not going to meet somebody coming around this curve.
That's correct.
Okay, there'll be 2 of those, you said, between Rouses Point and Plattsburgh?
Yeah.
And it gives you a clear
Indication that the block is clear preceding you.
Okay.
You can maintain track speed.
If there were somebody in there, it would show what?
Red.
Red. And it also means that someone's going to get fired.
That's right.
What's the chance of a train like this going off this track for no reason other than something's on the track? Happen very often?
I've never had anything happen as long, you're at track speed and
Right.
and live up to the rules. You'll never have to worry.
What about the snow we had the other day? All
That
that
doesn't
snow?
affect the
Didn't
train.
affect you at all,
No,
huh?
it doesn't affect us at all.
Were you out that last Sunday?
The weight here, you're talking about 250,000 pounds.
250,000 pounds? That's
Right.
for the whole train?
Oh, that's just
That's
for
just
one
the locomotive here.
locomotive.
So the powerful part is right behind us. I'm impressed that it's not that noisy in here. I really thought we'd have trouble talking.
No, not with these you don't.
No, you sure
You
don't.
might have on a locomotive.
Okay, it's
Okay,
sure
you're
nice
not
and
loud.
quiet. And I think we're in the area now of the Woodman of the World's area, aren't we, Calvin? This is the road in this area right here. We're beyond it now. Okay. Okay, I forget the name of this road. This is the Ridge Road extension, and we're on our way to West Shazy right now. Now there's another one of those green signs. That's not what we saw before.
Yeah, it's a green signal, the same as we saw before. Automatic signal.
So they come up quite often then?
Yeah, between
Every 3 miles, about every 3 miles they're different.
Uh-huh.
You have a number post on them to tell you the mile post, Bob, and that's where you know where you are.
That's from where? Measured from what?
Rouses Point for the Canadian border.
Oh, okay. And
190.
is there much maintenance on a stretch like this?
Yeah, there's quite a bit, and we're mandated by federal laws to what we call high rail these certain sections of the railroad daily on a daily basis, and those people that high rail inspect it for low joints, for broken bond wires, debris on the right of ways. They use a truck that has wheels on it that accesses the rail, and the whole railroad is patrolled on a daily basis.
Okay, if you just tuned in to Channel 21, Hometown Cable, I want to remind you, you're in the engine of the Amtrak on this Thursday early afternoon with our engineer, Earl Lawrence, and relative of all of the merchants here, and well known for the railroading in Rouses Point, and the area manager out of Saratoga, New York, Rich Stack, on my left. I'm standing and I'm swaying, but not as much as I thought I would be. Oh. The camera may be moving a little bit, although Calvin with the camera is very good. And we got to give you the, you got to know you're on an engine, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. If you're just sitting there, you think we're making it up.
There's another whistle stop, Bob.
Yep, there's another sign that we saw the whistle stop. Do you have much problem with your signs? Did any kids or anybody like that bother these signs very much?
Not very much, because as you can see, they sit way back on the right-of-way.
Right.
And we're away from the main highway, and so unless you were way up the tracks, you would never come across them.
Okay. Do you ever have to stop on a trip like this at all? Do you ever stop for any reason?
Oh, sometimes you have problems, you know. You've got an onboard technician that rides with us that takes care of the engine mechanically, anything that
But no, I don't mean that. I mean just that you see something that you would have to stop for, a tree, not a tree, but...
oh yeah, you have problems in certain times of the year, or maybe a windstorm or a rainstorm, it'll knock down a tree over the track.
Have you ever been how long have you been an engineer?
Coming on 29 years.
29 years as an engineer?
Yeah.
Have you ever been involved in an accident?
No, I've been very lucky.
Thank God.
Count my blessings.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it could happen to anybody. You get cars going around gates.
Yeah. And you have the right of way at all these places, and they got to remember that. You don't stop this as easy as they stop a car. And so you do you always drive the day shift, Earl?
I run all kind of trains. Night trains to New York, Niagara Falls, Boston, Montreal.
Yeah, now
all over here.
At night, can you see well with your lights on here?
You can see fairly well.
See well enough to know what's going on?
The lights are pretty good.
I'm not sure where we are right now. We're arriving in West Shazy. Here's the old station on our right. And this is the road that goes to, we're crossing right now, that goes to Ingraham. And some grain, I guess some grain storage, feed, yes. And there was a little siding that went off there, and there's the... So we're moving right along. We're probably, what, halfway to Plattsburgh?
Almost there, halfway.
Almost halfway. And...
Any sightings between Plattsburgh and Rouses Point used, anyone?
Any of the sidings used...
there's a few sidings here.
There's a siding there probably for a feed.
Most of our business is in the Plattsburgh area itself, Georgia Pacific, the old yard, lumber unloading, and up the Asable branch.
I think this is the Rigsby Road right here. John Rigsby was brought up, I think, just over there, wasn't it? I think. There's an awful lot more crossings than I ever realized. I guess you kind of miss that when you're on, of course I don't go up and down all those roads.
Between Rouses Point and Schenectady, I believe there's 104 crossings.
Is
104 crossings.
Now, crossing protection is very critical when you're operating a train, because when you run around a gate, you don't know what you're doing to the engineer that's operating that train. And to stop his train, he has to make a lot of preparation. And there's not many people that beat a train to a crossing when there's an accident.
Right.
Those who survive are very fortunate to tell their story.
And you got to remember that there's all those people in the back aren't expecting you to stop, and if you stop
Suddenly.
you do suddenly, they're going to have injuries back there, and so you're not just prepared to stop, and you're not supposed to be stopping. So we want to remind any of these new young drivers out there that don't try to race the train. If you want to race the train, get on a parallel road and race it. But even then, that's not too smart. We're riding on automatic right now. He's got his hands off the throttle, 62 miles an hour. We want to remind you, we've had a very busy evening last night, and we were waiting for the war in Iraq to cancel today's trip too. Now, tell us your schedule for today. You said you're coming down with us.
I got a very hectic schedule today, Bob.
My car is in Plattsburgh.
Your car's in Plattsburgh. You're going to be kind enough to bring me back to Rouses Point. Then we have a Spurry car out of Montreal, destined for Conrail at Kenwood, New York, which is Albany. Which this vehicle X-rays the track structure that we're riding on and looks for flaws and deficiency within the rail. fissures and cracks that the human eye can't see, and it marks those rails where such fissures are, so the railroad can replace the rail so they don't derail a train.
How does it mark it?
It marks it with spray paint on the inner ball of the rail, fluorescent paint, and it makes a location report with a computer that prints out the elevation and any rocking sensations.
So then you'll go back home tonight.
Well, it looks like tentatively now I was going to stay at Rouses Point another night for the operation, but I have to take a pilot for the NJ to Delson so he can bring the Spurry car with permission from Delson, which is about 30 miles north of Rouses Point to Rouses Point. Then a gentleman will be called to help operate the train from Rouses Point to Albany, and I'll be on as the management representative to Albany to be along in case there's any problems en route.
Now, you came up yesterday, right? You came up yesterday?
Yes, I was up here yesterday.
And you said, I think when we were talking before in the past, that you come up, what, once or twice a month?
Once or twice a month I make a trip to Rouses Point. It's part of my territory. I try to ride on the local whenever possible, but to oversee the operation, because we are a major interchange point still at Rouses Point with the Canadian National Railway and the NJ Railway.
Okay. Now, Earl, you left here. Where did you sleep last night?
Montreal.
So you left home when? Yesterday morning?
We go on duty at 12:36 in Rensselaer for this job.
At noon? That would be noon, roughly, right?
Arrived in Montreal last night at 8:20, and back on duty this morning at 7:55.
And now, that mean you go back tomorrow again? Will you be heading?
I work on the extra board for Amtrak, and I could go back tomorrow, or I could lay in. You know, depending, I may go to New York City tomorrow.
Okay, so you don't know that yet?
So I don't know where I'll be going.
Okay, you're looking out now. I'm not sure exactly where we are, but we're in an opening that we haven't been fortunate enough to see on this trip. But it's completely open here. We're in a lot of farmland, and we're somewhere between we're arriving at Beekmantown area, Calvin says, I think. And again, these crossings, a lot more than I had expected. Now there's one of those signs. This one has a red. Okay.
Green and red. Clear.
Okay.
Here's another whistle.
Yep. Now you see that whistle sign right there? It means he blows here for.
Notice how fast we approach the crossing.
Yep. Is there any record of your blowing that kept on the computer? There is. So if you're supposed to blow it 174 times and you blow it 159, you're going to be in trouble.
Right here is a black box, just like an airplane.
Okay, there's a black box up here that will tell his bosses that he is blowing that whistle like he's supposed to. And when they, of course, to prove that he did blow it, and it's probably even timed when he blows it and everything else on there.
Right.
And well, what speed? Speed is on there too. Now, what are these things up in front of us here? What do we?
Air gauges. Right.
Those are two air gauges. That air for your brakes.
That's great.
Okay, and then you got your speed, and you got your revolutions. That's the motor.
This is for your turbines, for the lead turbine and for the rear turbine. Tells you how much power that you're putting out. And over here, when we get down to New York, we go on electrical power. When we get down around Yankee Stadium, okay, it goes on electric. We got shoes on the side that drop down and operates with electric current.
Now, all these buttons that you can push.
These are just starting buttons.
Oh, starting. Okay.
Close them off.
Now,
here's your air brake. This is what controls the speed of the train.
You never stop long enough at a station or anything to stop your engine, do you?
No, we never shut it down when we're working.
Now tell us, today you were at the railroad station in Rouses Point for about 35 minutes.
Right.
Much longer than I can remember.
Right.
Why were you there so long?
Customs and immigration get on the train.
Okay, they used to get on in Montreal and ride the train and check the people years ago, but there's not that many people now, and it's been a change. It's also the overtime and the trains don't have to pay it. The trains used to pay them.
That's right.
And so now they do that while they're stopped. And this morning you had 38 people, but in particularly it took a little longer maybe because of the lookout for the terrorists that they are thinking about.
I heard they took 7 people off the train today.
This morning?
Yeah.
Well, we saw 1 or 2 get on at Rouses Point, and he heard he took off 7 people. Now they'll be interrogated, and then it's going to be a long time before the next train.
Well, they'll take them over to the border, put them on a bus, and send them back.
Oh, they're going to send them back. Okay, now you come down. This train travels once a day, right? At night it hits Rouses Point about 6.
About 6. Yeah.
And about 11 something on the way back the next morning.
Right.
And that's the only way you can, on a passenger on this track, are those two trains. Now we're underneath now, the overpass, I guess. Is this,
This is the north.
this is the Northway again. We're crossing, and I'm not exactly sure where we are. We're in Plattsburgh. There's the Georgia Pacific. Well, by gosh, we're here already. And here you'll see a siding. Right up here, Calvin, we're going into double tracks now. And there's the switch right there. And then they'll be there today with the OR, right? They'll be
right behind us now, leaving Rouses Point to follow this train.
I thought they had to wait till the other one went
They're
north.
going to meet that one at Plattsburgh.
Oh, they've changed their mind?
Yeah, they'll probably run the OR2 to travel down, but he has to make up a train.
Okay.
Northbound train sitting in Rockland.
Okay, here's the back end, and then over here is Agway area, the station over here. We're coming onto Boynton Avenue in Plattsburgh. It's been a very nice trip. We had tried to get down to Willsboro to show you all the rocks and the nice lake, but we were going to do it last Sunday, and we had planned it. Then the big snowstorm came, so we canceled it. It was a problem getting out of Saratoga, and then I heard this morning, and not only was it a problem, that the train didn't even move on Sunday. So there was no work done, so we missed that. And we want to thank Rich very much for bearing with us during all this time, Rich, and understanding.
It's been nice getting together with you, Bob.
All right.
The phone bill alone will kill you.
Well, that's all right. That's part of my donation. And here's Margaret Street right ahead of us. And we want to thank Earl very much for giving us the privilege of riding with him this morning. Very, very much, Earl. This has been pleasant. And I've learned a lot, and I've been watching, looking out here as I'm talking. And we're in behind Lattonville's furniture. We just saw. This is Miller Street. Miller Street heading south to our right. There you see the monument up ahead, I believe, across from the City Hall. There's the gates are down. And we're coming to a couple a very bad crossing over the years. I don't know how many accidents there's been, but it's very dangerous. You come down off Miller Street, and you have to stop whether there's a signal or not, because this is a very blind crossing right here. I think it's Weed Street, I think. And we're approaching the overpass next to the old American Legion building, which is on our left, the big brick building. That's all.
68, the rear of the fourth car at Plattsburgh Place.
That's been burned. As you said. So, we hope you're enjoying this trip on the locomotive of this Amtrak, and I'm sure many of you have ridden. There's a walkway right there, bridge that walks across, and that's the sewer plant of Plattsburgh down in the left-hand side. Down in there, that's the sewer establishment here. Public Works, I think, is down in here too. That's right here. 167.2 miles from here to what, Albany or
Albany.
Albany. And this is there's the station. That you haven't seen it from this direction, but Peg had the pictures were taken from the other direction. And if you remember looking at our first program, that's where I got left on my trip to New York when I went in to get a paper I told you about. And I still think about that. And this whole area, one of the nicest spots in Plattsburgh, really, for view, is the lake is right ahead of us. And we'll be getting off here. And there's our car parked right here, I see. So our car is ready. My son has already brought it over here. And it's been a very quick, about 25 minutes out of Plattsburgh, out of Rouses Point to Plattsburgh. And
That'll be far enough, 68, when you get them stopped, okay.
And the down to zero, and where I stopped, and we're in Plattsburgh, New York. And Earl, thank you very, very much again.
Glad to have you.
It's been a pleasure. And anything you want to tell to any of the people, anybody you want to say hello to out there from Rouses Point?
I think you did a wonderful job.
Harry Landry.
Harry Landry.
Vern Landry.
Yeah, I remember.
Hal Miro. You know Hal?
Harold.
Say hello to Hal right out there. He watches
How
them.
you doing?
Okay. Well, thanks very much. And if you're ever up here, stop in and see us.
I will.
Very good. Thank you much. And Rich, we probably can see you outside here, but I want to thank you for all your cooperation again. And we'll be back in Rouses Point before 1:30.
Yeah, I'd like to say hello to an old friend of mine, Don Davies.
Don Davies?
He's an old D&H railroader, lives up in Plattsburgh.
Okay.
If you see us, I'm still working.
Okay, well, we'll be showing this, I guess, on Plattsburgh. We'll make sure we do.
Yep.
It'll be on Channel 29. I want to remind you, I'm Bob Venn, Rich Stack, Earl Lawrence, and Calvin Caston on the camera. It's about 12:45, and we're just here on the Upper Bridge Street.
Amtrak 68, okay to depart.
We don't know who that is, but anyway, they're ready to go.
Yeah, we have to get off.
We're taking off, or we don't want to go any further. It's a nice smooth ride. Here we are, right? Amtrak, Plattsburgh, New York, waiting room hours, 1 hour prior to departure. It was due today here at 11:39. It's now 12:39 when it got here because of the delay in Canada someplace. Sunday only, it's 3:33. Information for your Amtrak. Some of the pictures of the touring of... We're in the station. The station was the whole building years ago, and now this is the railroad station. And here's the Amtrak's national passenger system and where the trains go across the country. And that's interesting. I see that it does go from Rouses Point, and you can go right over here to Grand Forks. I may look into that. I'm thinking of going out there next spring. That might be an interesting trip to take. I'll have to see how I can work out something with that. And there's the old building. Look at the old stone here, the foundation. Beautiful, very, very good looking. And who's this gentleman right here? George St. Germain. You are what? What's your title?
Caretaker.
You're caretaker. Are you taking care of Elle today?
Yeah.
You're taking care of us right now. Nice old piece, nice old wood piece right here. Beautiful. Roll up. Calvin, get a shot of this if you would. I just like this. As you know, if you watch that train, here's a ticket case, and this rolls up, right?
Right.
Can that be rolled up at all? Can you just roll it up and show us here? You'll see one of these when we get to Larry Marr. See, this is there's your, I don't know what that did, but that must have held tickets. And they held the tickets, see, and like you do get cigarettes. And here's all the different platforms, and that's a real old railroad piece. That'll make Arl Parsons and Larry Marnes wet their lips this morning right here when they see that. Nice old piece. See how it says on here, Chicago. I don't know what railway, but it goes right on down like this. And there's another picture of an Amtrak here going around with, looks like it's out west someplace. And here we are. And then here's Rich Stack right here. Let's look at Rich Stack. Well, first of all, come right over here next to this nice long bench. Right along while we're at it, Rich. Look at this bench here in this railroad. The old railroad type benches.
Oak with iron wrought iron.
Okay, oh, those are great. Real collector's item also. Well, Rich, that was a very interesting trip. I was amazed at the smoothness of the ride, really. I expected more sway.
Well, we're doing quite a bit of business now since CP has become incorporated with D&H. There's quite a bit of track improvements going on, and it's reflected in the schedule. Amtrak is running closer to schedule than ever, and next year we have even a bigger program, which we hope to increase the track speeds, which means a more efficient railroad.
For my benefit and those out there who don't know, there's no connection between D&H and Amtrak, money-wise, other than they use your tracks.
Yes, they contract with us to provide services. We provide track, support services, signaling, dispatching. And Amtrak in turn has clauses in their contract, they pay a fee for those services, and there's incentives for the railroad to operate their trains.
Okay, with this new takeover now, or buying up of the D&H by the CP, will this change your job in any way that you know of?
No, I'm basically in this position. I've been doing this position for quite a few years. The only thing that's changed is my title. My duties have increased and vary a little bit, but it's basically the same business.
What's your title going to be?
It's going to be area manager.
And before it was what?
Superintendent.
All right. And will this affect your retirement in any way?
I'm still part of the railroad retirement system.
Which is the federal retirement system.
Retirement that all railroaders contribute, Tier 1 and Tier 2.
And even though it's owned by a Canadian company, it's still a U.S. railroad.
That's right.
When they're here.
And they're mandated by federal regulations. The Federal Railway Authority will still be in charge of overseeing safety and operations, and we still comply as a Class 4 railroad.
Okay, Rich Stack came up from Saratoga to be with us and to talk to you people, and we appreciate very much. And one last time, thanks much, Rich.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thank you very much for watching this segment on Amtrak and the trip from Rouses Point to Plattsburgh, New York. And listen, if you haven't ever taken that train ride or you want to show your children, get on at Rouses Point. It's only a half-hour trip. Come down here and have a car ready, and you can go back, and the kids would love it. If they haven't been on a train, take the train ride out of Rouses Point. Thanks very much for watching Hometown Cable. It's on every night at 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 1 a.m. in the morning, and 9 the following morning. Particularly our show called What's Going On Here, every Sunday night and early Monday morning. And thanks for your comments, and hope you have a very happy 1991. Is that pretty close?
Okay.
Did you ever get one of these when you're playing Monopoly? It says take a ride on the Reading or the Reading. If you pass go, collect $200. Of course, you got to pay to ride on that railroad. We just took a ride on the railroad, the Amtrak from Rouses Point to Plattsburgh, New York on the engine. And to the courtesy of Rich Stack here, area manager of the D&H out of Saratoga, New York, and he was with us in the cab of the locomotive, and so was Calvin. We got some good pictures showing you the whole network of the track coming down into Plattsburgh. Tune in this coming Sunday night, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 1 a.m. on Monday, or 9 o'clock on Monday morning, and see it. Something you've never seen, probably, unless you've been in an engine, and there aren't many of you who've done that. We were riding with Earl Lawrence. I nearly said Merchant. Earl Lawrence, a nephew of Earl Merchant from Rouses Point. He was our engineer, and we had a great trip. Join us this coming Sunday night. Do that. You're at the railroad station. You saw the gates go down. What you're watching right now is an ad, ladies and gentlemen. And we'd like to ask anybody in our viewing audience or anybody you know that would like to come on a program later on in the spring to talk about railroads with us. We're not going to try to contact a lot of people and ask you if you want to talk about railroads and give us your history, your remembrances, your comments about railroads. We'd like to have you contact us if you're interested in talking with us. I understand that I've had several calls. We're going to be talking with Hal Miro, and we're going to talk with I'm lost, man from Moores. I understand who wants to talk with us. O'Brien, Mr. O'Brien out there, and there'll be others that want to talk with us. Just let us know. Call Hometown Cable or call Bob Vinn. My home number is 298-3971. I'm in the phone book, Bob Vinn, and we're going to try to get together with 2 or 3 meetings or whatever it takes, a number of people that want to talk with us, and we're going to end up our railroads later in the spring, and we're going to give you some kind of a rebroadcast of some of the things that has happened since we've been showing these shows with Peg. We've had a lot of comments from people who told us that, did you know about this accident? Did you know so-and-so worked on a railroad? Here's an interesting tidbit. We want to take all those and tell you about those, and we're going to meet with some of the people. So if you're interested in talking with us, please contact myself or Calvin at 298-HOME, and we'll get back to you. And we'll try and let you know when it's going to be, because we want to hear your story to finish off this railroading, the romance of railroading in the northern tier. And I just had a very interesting ride to Plattsburgh in an engine, Calvin and I, and we'd like to talk about that with some of you engineers out there, some of you brakemen, some of the people that just got stories about railroad. Get in touch with us. Thanks much. Hi, Bob Venn with an ad. Asking any of you people who are in the viewing audience if you want to talk about railroads with us. Anybody who's worked, have any stories about railroad, we're trying to get a group of people together early this spring so we can talk about and close out this segment on railroads. If you're interested in talking with us, we're not going to contact you. You contact us at 298-HOME or at my home at 298-3971. That's it. Contact us. You'll be on with us.